Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Gonzalez, co-founder and CEO of PlebLab, as my guest. We're going to learn about his business, his journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges he's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to build and operate a business. Welcome, Car. So great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Kay. It's so great to connect with you and a fellow Austonian. It's really cool meeting you.
Definitely. So excited to dive in. Okay, so before we get into all things business, I would love to share a bit about your backstory with the audience. So take me back as far as you'd like, share a bit about
Wow.
yourself and how you got started in business.
Yeah, I think at an early age, my father came from Mexico legally and started a business with his with somebody that he met here in South Texas, and it was around refinery. It was around at the time when natural gas was taking off in the '80s. And I remember being at a very young child and seeing him start that company with his co-founder, and seeing how they were able to take it from like just an idea to now they have a building, and then now he's working all sorts of hours, and how successful it became. And then at the same time, my mom was a homemaker, and she took care of us. But right around we got to our teens, she then started doing community stuff. She was always heavily involved in our schools that we were in, but she started doing more community stuff as far as like the um, outward facing, helping like the women's shelter and like victim advocate, stuff like that. Um, and so I would go with her to speakings. I would go with her to all these community events and seeing how popular she was. She was in the news all the time. And so seeing both those sides really kind of sprung me on. And just myself, creatively, I was always one of those. I'm like one of five kids. I was always one of those kids in the corner drawing or creating or doing something by himself. Even though I'm an extrovert, but I was very much like wanting to always create things and do things. And I remember being a kid and having bracelets that I made, and then go into my local 7-Eleven and asking the cashier if he'll like sell them for me. So I was always very kind of like trying to figure out how to make dollars and money and all those sorts of things with my creativeness. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. Eventually, I got into music early on, and so I kind of switched gears more into music. And then I had met a very I think it definitely changed my life more on the computer side. But I got an opportunity to help an IT professional when I was in high school. And so I would spend half the day working with him and the students there. And then I learned all about Macs at that time. And that's when I got really like computer pilled. And then from there, tried going to school, but it just wasn't sticking. And I dropped out. And it was kind of one of those things where I had like a professor that was very like he was like, if you want to create stuff and you want to do stuff, you kind of just have to go and do it. And it almost felt like he was telling me to drop out in a lot of ways. But it was kind of one of those things where I think it really landed on me as a young man. And I was like, you know what, he's right. I should just go for it. My dad did it. I've seen my mom do it. Like, why can't I do it? Like, why am I? And so yeah, that's what I did. I got involved with the music scene here in Austin and started helping all sorts of people get their projects and their bands off the ground and stuff like that. And yeah, been here ever since. And eventually got an IT job because I got in through web design because I was still doing computer stuff around that time. And then just sort of network bounced around. And then eventually the company that I was with doing IT in the late 2010s sold their company. And then that was when I finally said, you know what, I'm going to take this money and like go off and like do my own thing. And that's what I did after right around COVID.
Wow, what a story. Well, it sounds cool that you had a background in music and you kind of like just decided, hey, I'm going to try some things. And so thank you for sharing about that. So let's dive in to your role, your co-founder. So what does your role look like in like your day to day?
Yeah. So right now, my job is primarily as a CEO and one of three co-founders of PlebLab. And it's kind of like I talk about my early background, but I feel like I'm using every thing I learned from a young age, whether it was watching my mom or dad, or whether I was doing like computer stuff or creative stuff, or I was whatever that situation was, or helping bands get big and stuff like that, whatever that situation was, I feel like I'm using all those skills now. And I always wondered like why God put this in my path. And I come to realize that it was for this very reason. It was for to create something like PlebLab, where it's a community Bitcoin accelerator, and it's the first of its kind. There was never a Bitcoin accelerator before 2021 when we started. It was three individual founders that came together because we decided that no one wants to give us access to starting a company. No one wanted to help us in the ecosystem, and we felt like if we come together as a group, then maybe we can help each other with our own projects. And that was where the idea came from. Is like,
Mm,
hey, let's just band together as a group of individuals, all new, all coming in at the same time, and then let's create something for other founders and other people to come through there and leverage our network and our community that we're building together. And that's what we've been able to do. That's why we're so cognizant of calling it a community accelerator, because we don't look at it like a regular accelerator where there's like, you know, and it's not a knock against them. This is just how it's always was done. This is before Bitcoin. And so it was always like, hey, you got to pass this, you got to be from this school, you got to have this amount of connect. Like it was just, there was all these things. And we felt like this new era, this Bitcoin era that we're moving into, where it's more decentralized, money is moving at the speed of light, and everybody's getting paid instantly. Like this feels more, PlebLab feels more with the ethos around Bitcoin. And so we felt like that was where we felt the strongest, and the thing that we could hold beliefs to that. And so that's what we did. We started it in 21. I was telling you before the podcast, we got incredibly popular when we came out. There was like people following us, as far as like documentary being made about us. There's a movie that's on YouTube that they published, and I think there was in film festivals or whatever. It was called Bitcoiners. And like I at the time, like it was just a wild time in 21. The price of Bitcoin was going up. It was just insane. And PlebLab got really popular around that time. And we had just barely came in. We didn't have a business model. We didn't know what we were doing. And we were just trying to create something that we thought needed to be created. Now we are in a lot better space. Now we know exactly how to function. We know exactly what we do. We have startup day. We have like all these things. And so it's like it's weird to see all that kind of crazy media stuff come in the very beginning of your company, and then for it to like go away, which I'm happy about. And then you can just start building and being a functional business.
mhm.
But yeah, it was a wild time for sure.
Oh, I
The
believe.
the interesting thing is like I didn't have to take on a lot of that brunt. A lot of it was my co-founder Kyle. And
Mhm.
he, just seeing it from watching him and having to deal with all that publicity and all that energy and all the people surround, like it was just wild. We're talking about like hundreds of people. It's crazy. And so it was good seeing him go through that. And eventually he ended up leaving PlebLab in 22, and I got handed the baton. He found the love of his life and have kids, and he's doing amazing right now, just as being a dad and a father. So and from time to time we still talk and stuff like that, and it's always good to talk about the old days. But we definitely had to make a switch, because it required somebody with like who loves pain. And so as you know, being an entrepreneur, it's just all pain. It's just how much pain is it today.
100%. Well, thank you for sharing that cool, robust backstory. I'm very excited about that. And like, I'm kind of also like, it kind of like tapered off. Now you're like building the business. So I want to know about, okay, I have a fun question for you actually.
Yeah.
If I were to give you 10 hours back in your week, where would you put those hours? Would you put them into the business, into your personal life, maybe a mix of both?
Yeah, I think like these days, like so when Kyle left in 22, it was very hard for me to make that switch to CEO, because I just didn't have the experience to be a CEO, no, nor knew how to do that. I had to bring in somebody like Teresa Martin, who she works with us now as our COO, to kind of shape me up into being a businessman, being somebody that could operate at a high level. And so she's taught me a lot of things just working with her the past 3 4 years, where we're at now. And so now I'm far more like, it doesn't matter what, I get problems all the day, like every day. And I remember when I first would get those problems as an entrepreneur, I would be freaking out. I would be like freaking out. I'd be like, what do I do? Like I'd be now it's like, oh, I've seen that one before. That's cute.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, I know how I'm gonna handle that. Like now, there's nothing that you can flinch. But I think the biggest thing I've learned through that is that past 4 or 5 years is like, now I'm at a point now where I'm realizing, okay, I need to make time for myself. And so now I'm actually like, I say rebuilding my life, but I'm definitely like partitioning my life to make time for others and stuff like that, and really set a timer off at the end of the day and stuff. And so if I had to give 10 hours back, it would obviously, I would try to put as much as I can into work. But my schedule usually, I mean, I'm usually working anywhere between 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m. every day. I take Sundays off to go to church. But outside of those things, I like my job. I love what I do. I get to hang out with my friends and we get to build cool stuff. This is like the best job in the world. I get to help people that are trying to build their own companies. Like it's a very rewarding job, I would say. And then plus I get to travel the world and like, do events and stuff like that and meet all sorts of interesting people. So um yeah, to me it feels like that 10 hours, I would probably just leave it where it's at. Like I wouldn't change anything. I like the schedule that I have right now.
That's really good. So that kind of leads me into, the many hats that entrepreneurs wear. Is there anything you would rather offload at this point, or are you feeling pretty
Oh,
good?
absolutely. A lot of the duties around like sale, and so like a lot of the things I didn't know how to do because I used to have an artistic background, creative background, have the vision for what we're trying to do. I understand like the networking and all that kind of stuff. One of the things I didn't have was like a sales hat. I never thought I could sell. I've learned you can sell, like I can sell. It's just that I ended up having to hire somebody to help me with that. So I would say more offloading more of that stuff, offloading more of the operation stuff, and then all the other stuff I can kind of do at this point. But I think being honest with yourself, which took me a long time, I'm still struggling with it even now. But I think last year when I had that moment, I was like, I need to be honest with myself. What can I actually get done? What can I not get done? And then reach out to people and ask for help on those fronts. But it took me a while to get there because the last thing you want to do as an entrepreneur is ask for help, right? You think you have everything solved on your own because you don't want to embarrass yourself or whatever it is. But the sooner you just ask for help, the better you're going to be off.
I agree with you there 100%. So looking at your ownership structure, you mentioned you're a co-founder now. Do you have other other people in your ownership structure and other employees?
Yeah, so we might mainly just do contract stuff and a lot of like fractional sales stuff. And yeah, and so we kind of do that sort of thing because we try to keep the costs really low as far as like running the hackerspace. They're all individual business units. So a lot of them on the software side, we're making money on that side, and we're making money on the physical space side. And then we have some other things that we're kind of testing the waters with as well too. And then obviously, I think everybody knows at this point here in 2026, you have to be doing events. You have to be in person. You have to be getting your name out there. It's either you or you're paying somebody else to do it. Obviously, we do our own. Um, and so, yeah, just those sort of things. And then obviously, we're really big into community. Like I mentioned earlier, like my mom did a lot of the community stuff most of my life. I saw her doing it, and I saw how well she was treated in the community, how much people loved her, and even when she was getting sick, people would come and visit. It was so amazing to see that. And I always told myself like, I'm going to do PlebLab, but I'm going to make sure that we're about community too as well. Even if it's just like me footing the bill on it, because I think it's very important to have that attached to PlebLab because we are a community accelerator. So yeah, we do a Bitcoin Builders Club every month here at Capital Factory. Our next one is actually next Monday. It's the third Monday of every month. And we like to give back, and whether that's through workshops on the weekends, sometimes we'll do free workshops. We just think it's really important to do community stuff. Yeah, that's kind of how we have it all structured.
Definitely. Well, that's really cool. I love that you're into the community and doing a lot there. So my next question is every business owner I know I've talked to is like growing through something. Could be a new
Mhm.
season, a new challenge, a new level. Like, so what is something your company is currently growing through that's taking up a lot of your time?
I think the biggest thing that we're finding out right now is just the AI side of things. So, as you know, AI is kind of taking over the world as far as like automation and being able to integrate everything with your existing databases and stuff like that. I think one of the interesting things that's out there right now is like if you're a founder who's or an entrepreneur who's building right now, you really don't need an accelerator. And I'm saying this more like I'm trying to show the struggles that I'm having because you can make 10 to 100K um, um, type of business very easily per month doing AI work, doing the cutting edge stuff. And right now we're in this like nice little 3 to 5 year gap where that can happen. And so if you're an accelerator like PlebLab, you have to go out and find these builders. You got to find people that want to partner with you to work with on their business because a lot of the stuff that they're going to need help with now is going to be more on the business and operation side and most of all distribution. And these are things, as you know, and I know, like you don't have unless you got lucky early on and you had people following you to make a documentary about you. So this is where it's kind of like it's kind of I said earlier on, like I'm glad I didn't go through it, but I'm kind of glad I did go through it because now PlebLab has its brand recognition worldwide, and there's all this, you know, evergreen content out there about PlebLab. So now whenever entrepreneurs and I talk to early stage startups, they're like, why should I join PlebLab? I was having a conversation yesterday. He's like, why should I join PlebLab? Why should I go to your accelerator instead of somebody else who's going to give me like 25K and like AWS credits and like 100K in, in funding? And I'm like, well, because distribution. I'm like, and you're going to be learning from the best. And,
Mm-hmm.
and once you join PlebLab, you're always in PlebLab. Like there is no, like, we're never going to kick you out. You were a part of PlebLab for your life. And so it's kind of one of those things you can always leverage us as a resource going forward. And then if you want to go that accelerator right after, feel free to. But we always I always recommend to founders like you need a family that you can depend on. You need a community that you can depend on. You need a network that you can lean into, and that's where I think PlebLab exists in the Bitcoin ecosystem solely to do that, to drive that forward.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also, with like following that, are you is there anything keeping you back from being like fully solving the troublesome areas or areas of growth that you're looking to make in business?
Capital. It's always capital, right? Like at the end of the day, it's like founders have three jobs: capital, people, and vision, what they're trying to do with their mission. So,
Mm,
right, like one of the things I have in spades is the vision and the all that kind of stuff. The people, that's obviously we're called Plub Lab for a reason. It's easy to grab people. It's easy for me to recruit people. The capital is always the hard part because, like I said earlier, people are be able to make 10 to $100,000 a month doing AI stuff or doing all sorts of things, and then the people with capital don't necessarily need to distribute that to everybody evenly.
mm,
So I think it's I'm also a Christian, so I think for me personally, like this is the path God has me on.
mm.
He's having me go through this for a reason. But not having access to that capital definitely slows us down. But maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's one of those things where, like, I don't know if you grew up in Texas or not, Kay, but I grew up and I remember going to HEB when I was like 3, 5 years old. And I remember seeing HEB and what it looked like back then to seeing what it looks like now. And I'm 42 now. Seeing what it looks like now with their barbecue and they have the central markets and seeing that grow over the course of like my whole life, I'm like, wow, that's actually kind of good that someone just didn't dump millions of dollars on them to do HEB right from the beginning. They just slowly built up their own treasury and they just built it out over time. And I think when I think of PlebLab, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to do exactly what they did. I want to build it out over time. I don't care if it's hard. It's just going to work because I'm going to, I think it's just going to happen because God has made it happen from the very beginning. And I think that's just kind of the biggest thing is just like give it up to God, give it up to the graces and the blessings that you have, and you just kind of make it work. But yes, if there's one thing I could wish I could have, it's more capital. it's like
Definitely.
they asked. It's like they asked. I don't know if you ever saw the first Moon movie, and they're talking to Neil Armstrong, and Neil Armstrong was like, "Hey, Buzz Aldrin's bringing his little thing, and he's bringing that to space. What would you like to bring, Neil?" And he was like, "More fuel." Like that, like it was just clear as day. He's like not even thinking about it. He's like, "More fuel, give me more fuel.
Hmm.
If I could replace something else with more fuel, I want more fuel." And it's the same thing. That's how I look at capital. It's just like, give me more fuel, give me more capital, and I'll make everything happen.
That's a good way to look at it. Now, where do you see your company going in the next 3 to 5 years?
So yeah, so nothing to share right now, but like we're looking to keep expanding into Latin America. Like that's been very good for us. We think there's a huge market potential for early stage startups to come from there, because they tend to need Bitcoin the most, and we think there's just going to be a lot more startups coming from there, building strong Bitcoin companies. And then at some point, we'll probably get into expanding PlebLab into other cities. We've
Hmm.
always had talks with people coming to us. There's always been numbers thrown around. There's always been people paying us for consulting. Like all that happens behind the scenes, and they all want to do what we're doing. But at the end of the day, they just want the brand. And I think at some point we'll be expanding to other cities with that brand. And so you'll start seeing more Pleb Labs pop up. Hopefully, if God wills it, in the next 3 to 5 years. And
Oh,
then after that, at some point, we're continuing to work on our software side of things. So we're building out our PlebTV platform. It's still in the early days, and that's something that we want to keep expanding on. So yeah, we have a lot of ideas and a lot of things, but I think not having a lot of bullets in the chamber, a lot of fuel, in reserve, we have to be very cognizant about what things we do, because we can only make so many mistakes. We can only it's like threading a needle early when you're trying to build something sustainable over time. And so
yeah.
we got to be exact and accurate with our with our choices.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on some really big things there, especially for businesses in all industry, like really being mindful. And so when you look at solving the capital, solving that, what have you tried and what's working?
Um, I would say the biggest thing that I've come to realize is software in this day and age is very easy to make. But it's also, if you have a brand attached to it, like a Pleb Lab, it could really sing at that point. And I'm realizing like that's the easiest way for us to generate a significant amount of capital very fast, especially with Bitcoin. Bitcoin's price rises up every 2 to 3 years. There's 4 year cycles in this ecosystem, and so if you start making purchases on this stuff, you can start seeing a world where that Bitcoin that's held in reserve can start accruing in price relative to dollars. So I think the most interesting thing here is probably the software side of things. With that being said, I think the longer kind of where I think the big money is the franchise stuff that
Hmm.
we're looking into, because that has been proven you know throughout business decades in the past, where that leads to all sorts of revenue streams. So I think eventually that probably is the main place that we need to get to. But for right now, I think software will help us get us there, and we just need to keep our brand intact, and keep being Bitcoin only, and stick to our ethos about community and acceleration. So
Definitely. Thank you for sharing that. Now, we're getting kind of towards the end of the conversation. I want to ask you one question. It's kind of a fun one.
yeah.
If I gave you a little bit of magic dust and you could sprinkle it on one aspect of your business for rapid improvement, what would it be?
um Probably trying to think. I only get one sprinkle. Let me think. One sprinkle. Where would I throw it in? Um, I don't. This is a really good question. I feel like there's so many places that I could disperse it in.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would probably sprinkle it on the revenue side. I think we could we could always improve our revenue quarterly. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be good to test. Like, I would love to have a magic wand where I could just say, test all these things in the real world and do it within 24 hours and let me know which one works. Like, without me having to spend the time to go there and suffer each individual loss. Because, like when you're trying to build a business, like, you're trying everything and you're seeing what
Yeah.
sticks and what the market responds to. And so when it doesn't stick, you're like, oh, start lower. Then try this one. And then you just pull out the ones that you think market's not responding to. And eventually so I think doing that
Mm-hmm.
is would be awesome if I could just say, I have all these ideas, all this stuff, wand through all of it, sprinkle dust through all of it. Let me know which one actually sticks with the market, and that's the one I would just focus on. Yeah,
Oh, that's a great answer. Well, so excited. This has been a great conversation. How can people connect with you and your company online?
yeah. The fastest way to get to me is just car@PlebLab. Just email me, car@pleblab.com. You can find me at the Hackerspace here in downtown Austin at 800 Brazos. Find us there. And then if you want to partner with us, reach out to our sales team. Laura heads that at laura@pleblab.com. And yeah, interested in hearing people. And you can also check out we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, we're dropping videos and stuff like that there, updates. And then if you just want to meet me in person, just a normal person, curious about some of the questions that we answered today, you can find me at Bitcoin Builders Club every third Monday at Capital Factory. So
Oh, fantastic, Carl. I have one more question for you today. Our
sure.
final question is, what is most inspiring to you today?
Inspiring. I think for me, it's definitely in my city. It's definitely in my town. It's Austin. Like, I think Austin in general has always been my muse in a lot of ways, and I just want to leave it better than I came across it. And I think people that come to Austin definitely try to do that. I can think of some legends like Willie Nelson and Matthew McConaughey, and like even Joe Rogan's doing that now, and Elon and these bigger guys. And I think I just also want to just give to my city, and I want to see it better than when I found it. And that's what inspires me on a daily basis. I can walk downtown, see inspiration, and go and create, and keep doing that. So I just want to keep doing that for the city. I love it.
Aw, that's incredible. Well, thank you so much, Car. This has been such a fun conversation. Thanks for sharing about your business today.
Thank you, Kay, so much. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to do this interview.